People tell me all the time they have to lower their prices to get jobs. And I'm here today to tell you to stop lowering your price to get more jobs. Let's dig into how. If you've been in sales for even the smallest amount of time, you've heard that you have to build value to the customer. And while that's true, I think building perceived value is more important, meaning that specific customer, they perceive that value at a higher price than it actually cost you to perform. Now, you might be saying, Colin, how on earth do I do that? How do I get them to value the thing that I think I have to lower my price to sell them on to get them to value it for more than I'm asking? Yes, that's exactly what we're saying. And how you do that is related to things that they do know. People in my industry, we sell seamless gutters. So in my industry, people are not buying gutters every 3 years, every 5 years. Like some people might buy gutters one time in their entire life because they bounce from house to house and they have to buy it once, but all the other houses they buy have gutters or something along those lines. So they're not educated on what gutters should cost or the actual value of the gutters to their foundation, to their landscaping, to their water infiltration in the basement, to their sump pump, whatever that might be. They don't put those two and two together. But what are things that people buy regularly? Well, they buy groceries, they buy vehicles, they buy houses more regularly than they buy a roof or gutters. They buy a lot of other things in this world pretty regularly. A lawnmower, you name it. People are buying it more often than they buy a roof or a gutter project. So let's just stick with gutters on this. The average lifespan of a gutter system is 20-25 years. It is a wear item. It does wear out. Gutter guards, different story, but the actual gutters, hangers, everything loosen up. So we need to present that to the customer that this is a wear item. And most other companies are not presenting it that way. They're presenting, oh yeah, you've already got gutters here, you're good to go. Like, no, the spike and ferrules loosen up. Your modern day hidden hangers, they loosen up, they get a little bit tweaked, whatever. Things happen, and eventually that gutter system will rattle a little bit up there. So it's our duty to build that perceived value in a way that they're like, oh, okay, this gutter system's actually gonna last 20, 25, 30 years. And you can do that by little things such as, we put our hangers, the manufacturer specs them for every 2 feet. We put them every 18 inches. And they're like, oh, wow. And you explain, we do that because they are a wear item. So having a few more in a run of gutter adds lifespan to the gutter system because now it can't move as much when those hangers are a little bit closer together. Does that make sense? Oh yeah, that makes so much sense. Or if you're using a continuous hanger gutter guard system, you can say the same thing. Like, this is a continuous hanger and it'll extend the lifetime of your gutter system. They're like, oh my goodness, that makes so much sense. And we get to go through line after line after line after line, building this value. We can tell them the stories of bird nest in the gutters and the need for gutter guards. We can tell them the horror stories of bee nest inside of certain types of gutter guards. We can tell them the stories of chipmunks going up a downspout and a dog ripping it off the house trying to get to the chipmunk. We can talk about all of these stories and the importance of the gutter gate at the end of the downspout, the importance of the gutter guard, the importance of a max flow outlet, the importance of having hangers spaced closer together. All of these things make a big difference in the customer's perceived value, meaning your job might be a $5,000 gutter job, but by the end, they're gonna be like, oof, wow, not only is this gutter system gonna last the length of time a $5,000 gutter system is gonna last, it should last longer because of all these extra precautions that they're taking. Now, you really get into the nuts and bolts of what it's protecting. Their second story, protecting the lower level roofs, protecting the lower level windows that when it hits that roof, it splashes on and rots out the windowsill. Now, the gutters are protecting that, and they're like, oh my goodness. Then you talk about the foundation protection and how getting water away from the foundation is really important and prevents, settling and blocks cracking or solid walls even cracking, whatever that looks like. You can explain all of these different processes to them, all the protection that a gutter system can do. We can talk about how it destroys their flowers, right? If they're a green thumb and they love their flower beds, talk about how a gutter system is going to protect that and how that's going to save them money. And they're like, that might be the most valuable thing to the right person. It's like, my tulips will be good. I won't have to mess with them ever again. They're not going to get destroyed by all the water dripping off my roof anymore. So awesome. Thank you so much, Colin. Like, that happens. I've literally had those conversations. So increasing the customer's perceived value, and it's different for each customer on what they really value. So as you can imagine, going through this, it insinuates that we're doing things above average, that we're a premium company and we care about the customer's home. Does that make sense? Are you tracking with me here? When you go through this, a customer expects to have to pay more for your services. And the final nail in the coffin of this is whether they spend $3,000 with the cheap guy or $5,000 with you, it's still a lot of money to people. So if we can show them that, yeah, you know what, you might be able to find somebody to do this for half the price. They might show up drunk or high or whatever and hang the gutters okay. Or you could pay a little bit more and get all these extra protections that are gonna save you a ton of money in the long run. Because regardless, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, whether it's $3,000 or $5,000, it's still a lot of money, and you don't want to cheap out on spending a lot of money. You wouldn't choose to buy a $45,000 truck that has known transmission issues in 5,000 miles instead of paying $50,000 for a truck without those known transmission issues. Both are still a lot of money, and you need to buy right the first time. That's just how it goes. So you explain this all and walk your customer down that path. You don't even need to explain the truck thing. You never tell a customer, you wouldn't do this. No, like, it's best if it's their idea and you get that, you pull it out of them. So build that perceived value here. So put this, build that perceived value is step number 1. Step number 2 is you need to show the customer that you care about them and their home more than you care about putting dollars in your pocket. And ways that we can do this, we take the approach of a project consultant. I actually pay a lot of my sales reps now, they have a base salary, a healthy base salary, and then they get a smaller amount, and it's based on just a job, not the job total, not a percentage of the job total, any of that. We take the consultative approach. And so these sales reps show up and they can actually just genuinely care. They don't have to worry about not having food at home that night, or paying their rent. They just know, like, okay, I've got enough money to live. These are all just bonuses. The more jobs I get, the more people that I get to serve. Let me tell you a story. I just went to a lead last week. Showed up, and this was a roof estimate, and the woman, her husband had died 3 weeks ago, and then her mother-in-law died a week and a half after that. So in the last 3 weeks, mother-in-law and her husband both passed. And I showed up and I couldn't get in the door. And I think it was, I don't know why, but I could see like stuff kind of piled up in the windows. So I don't know if she just had a lot of stuff and didn't want me to come inside for embarrassment reasons or whatever, but I didn't push. I just said, can we sit out here on the patio? And she said, yes, absolutely. So we sat on the patio, and anyways, go through the whole presentation. I discover, that her husband and her mother-in-law had passed. I literally cried with her because I just felt horrible for this woman. And it's like, 3 weeks ago, your husband died and you're calling to get a roof estimate? Like, you don't have any active leaks. This is crazy. Like, you are an incredibly strong woman. Anyways, we go through it all, and she tells me she's got like a $25,000 budget. And I say, okay. I still do my whole demo. I show her every single thing that we can offer. And you know what? She really, really, really loved the designer shingles. Those designer shingles cost $65,000. I had a roofing option that was 25 and change, right? So just under 26 grand. And then gave her the different tiers. But the designer shingle she picked was a $65,000 thing. We get to it, I lay them all out, and I go, so which one do you want? She goes, I want the designer shingles. Almost 3 times more than her budget allotted. If I would have just listened to her and been like, nope, this is like, if I would just listen to that budget and said like, okay, cool, everything I can to get under $25,000, I would have lost out on a big deal. Well, through this, she basically is just like, you know, I've gotten to like choose what I want on this thing, and this is the one roof I get to do in my life. Hopefully it's the last one, but this is my first roof ever, and it's hopefully my last one, and I want what I want. So I'd like to go with this one. Holy smokes, blew my mind. And obviously margins on that are a little bit higher. The company makes more money. Amazing deal. But I followed the process. I went through everything. I showed her that I cared about her. She had another estimate for $15,000. And by the end, she was like, I'm not gonna call that guy back. I don't know what he was quoting, but if your cheapest option is 25, like what is he doing? I said, I don't know, like full transparency, my materials are almost 15 on 2 of these options here. And she's like, yeah, that makes sense, you know? And so it was pretty wild, but at the end of the day, I showed her that I cared, and she picked the absolute premium because she was like, I trust this guy. He's gonna do what's best for me, and I think that this is the best shingle option for my home. Wild story, but I went through every single step with her still. I didn't take her budget and then get rid of half of my presentation because it wouldn't fit her budget. I still gave her the benefit of the doubt and showed her everything and let her pick what's going on her home. So let's write that down. We need to show we care. And last, but certainly not least, we need to ask for the sale. And don't tune out yet, because we've all heard this, like, oh yeah, I know I need to ask for the sale. Well, there's a lot of different ways that you can ask for the sale. And one of my favorite ways is the yes or yes close. So I alluded to this. I laid all of our options out, and I said, so which one do you want the most on your home? And she said, I want this one. Okay, awesome. And then I just quickly went into, we can do that 2 ways. It's either this much down and this much upon completion, or just this much per month. And she was like, I'll do this much down and this much upon completion. Okay, sounds good. Let's write it up. That was it. It was that simple. The yes or yes, you just give them the option. You might say, well, Colin, what if they say, oh no, I'm not making a decision right now? Say, oh, okay. Like that's completely okay. I get that. Like you gotta talk to somebody. No problem. Who is it that you need to talk to? And you just get to figure out like who the influence is in their life and all that. So you get to redo like deep diving. And if that happens, that means you didn't dig well enough in the discovery stage and you don't know all of this. So we usually find out right off the rip if this person is like, I'm not making a decision today. I mean, it's my favorite when I show up to a customer's house and I ask them, what are you hoping to gain out of our visit today? And they say, a new roof or a new gutter system. Okay, cool. So you're ready to make a decision today then, is my next follow-up question. They're like, yeah, cool. Love those ones. A lot of times though, people say, I'm just looking to get some estimates and know how much I need to save and whatever else. Like, oh, okay, no problem. And I don't overcome anything at that point. My goal is to show them throughout the whole process and get them to be like, this is a really good deal. I need to do this now, not 6 months from now. I need to get this done now. And that's how our whole presentation is geared, is to get them to move now and make it their idea to move faster rather than us having to be pushy salespeople. That's the last thing that we are, all right? So at the end, we just ask for the sale, all right? So Mrs. Smith, we have this option, and this option. Which one do you want in your home? And they always pick one, right? Gets them saying yes. Awesome, cool. We can do that 2 different ways. Boom. Which of these options is best for you? And they almost always just go with it because people hate saying the word no. That's it. That's how you can be a pushy salesperson without being a pushy salesperson. That wasn't hard, was it? It's not that difficult, and it's really not that uncomfortable. At the end of the day, if you actually care about your customer, it should irritate you when they don't buy from you because you know there's a good chance that the next guy's gonna rip them off. Just the world that we live in. I know if I don't get this deal, there's a good chance the next guy's gonna come in here and hack their gutter or hack their roof together, and they have to call me and they have to spend twice, right? I don't like that, and that's the way that we do business, and that's why we always ask for the sale.